Deputy Prime Minister, with us this morning. He is joining us from Bletchley Park, an AI conference there. Elon Musk will be attending, we're told. Deputy Prime Minister, what do you hope to achieve?
Well, good morning from a rather wet and windy Bletchley Park. I genuinely think this is a historic moment. For the first time, we're bringing together frontier AI companies and governments and our national security understanding to see what the risks are associated with AI. But it's also really important in all of this to take into account the opportunities. I genuinely think this is transformative. And if we get this right, if we get the right framework for the security of it, we can exploit so many opportunities. And if you think back to the 1970s and 80s, the strength of the City of London and how that has created so many opportunities for this nation, I think we're on a similar cusp with AI. The tech sector in the UK is double that of France, of Germany, triple that of France. This is a brilliant opportunity for our nation.
OK, talk to me about the COVID inquiry. We were hearing yesterday from Dominic Cummings, who you will know well, and we were hearing that there was a culture of toxicity, incompetence, backstabbing and misogyny at number 10 in the heart of government at the time. How hard was it for you to watch all that?
Well, as you might imagine, Kay, that I didn't have a great deal of time to watch the entire proceedings of the inquiry. I caught some of it, but what I think the inquiry was doing was exactly what it was set up to do. And I was in government when we set up the inquiry, and what we said was to the victims and to wider society, we need to get to the bottom of exactly what happened during that period. Now, you got a very full and frank account from the former advisor Dominic Cummings. Many other pieces of evidence will be given to that inquiry, including from the former Prime Minister Boris Johnson. Indeed, I gave evidence myself a few weeks ago, both orally and written evidence. And I think it's important that the inquiry takes all those bits of evidence, pieces them together, and then gets to the truth of exactly what happens, produces its conclusions, and then the government will respond fully and comprehensively to what it has to say.
A dysfunctional government that you were a central plank of, Deputy Prime Minister.
Well, you've got an account from one witness yesterday, in fact, two alongside Lee Kane. You'll get many more pieces of evidence, both written and oral. Indeed, my department has already given over 55,000 different pieces of evidence. But this is what the inquiry is all about. It's about taking these different bits of evidence and trying to get to the truth, the detail of what happened. Different people, of course, will have different accounts of how it was conducted. We've laid the entire thing bare. We've said you can see absolutely everything. I think that's the right thing to do, given the once-in-a-generation nature of this crisis that engulfed the world. But then let's let the inquiry, Lady Justice Howlett is a very capable judge. She will sift through all of that along with her team, and they'll reach the conclusions.
You spoke to our Sophie last April, and you said Boris Johnson was getting the big calls right still. He said that COVID was just nature's way of dealing with old people, and that was a quote that was given to him, and he said he didn't entirely disagree with them. COVID, just nature's way of dealing with old people, and you supported that guy. Well,
what I think you're seeing there is a very partial one piece of evidence amongst many others. I'm quite sure that when the former Prime Minister gives evidence, he will give a full account of himself. The Cabinet Office has given a very full account of how we conducted ourselves. And I'm not going to give commentary on one individual piece of information because it needs to fit in with a much wider picture of how we conducted ourselves, both at the time and through the vaccine programme and through all the different, very difficult decisions that were taken around the costs and benefits of lockdown and so on. I don't think it's going to be helpful to the inquiry and the proper conduct of this to pick on one particular piece of evidence that's been given.
I'm giving you the opportunity to say it's a shocking thing to say, Deputy Prime Minister. Do you want to take that opportunity?
Well, of course, I don't recognise many bits of the account that were given. I didn't hear the entire session. I think it ran out to over 6 hours. I have taken the opportunity to give my perspective on what happened in the evidence that I gave to the inquiry. I think that's the right thing to do. Of course, I don't accept both how that was explained and indeed I refute in many respects what was said. But the way to do that is through the evidence that we give to the inquiry.
OK, and present Prime Minister lived next door. How could he possibly not have been aware of a culture of toxicity, incompetence, backstabbing and misogyny? It's just next door to him.
Well, again, the current Prime Minister, Rishi Sunak, will be giving evidence to that inquiry. I think he's got an awful lot to be proud of in terms of the way that he conducted himself during that inquiry, not least the job retention scheme, how we saved many millions of jobs through that process. Again, the inquiry will take that evidence from him. It will take evidence from many other officials in the Treasury, many officials in the Department of Health. And
all right, Deputy Prime Minister, I'm not getting anywhere with that. So we've only got a limited amount of time. Talk to me about the Rafah crossing. The Foreign Office saying they have strong intelligence that's going to open today. Can you confirm that for us?
Well, we're continuing to engage with both the Egyptians and the Israeli government. Indeed, our Prime Minister spoke to Prime Minister Netanyahu just yesterday. We continue to make the case, and we hope that we will be successful in ensuring that larger amounts of humanitarian aid flow into Gaza. And secondly, that we facilitate the exit of British nationals from Gaza. But that has to be done in a safe way, but we stand ready to do so should the opportunity arise, and we're urging that opportunity, Kay.
IDF has admitted bombing Jabalia, a refugee camp with civilian casualties. Is that still within international law as far as the British government's concerned?
Well, look, this is the reality of the conflict with an organisation like Hamas. Hamas is a terrorist organisation that has murdered in cold blood over 1,000 innocent Israeli men, women and children, and now seeks to hide amongst the civilian population. This is a very difficult conflict. We continue to urge the Israeli government to abide by international law. I believe that the Israeli government is continuing to do so against an enemy that hides amongst civilians. It's the terrible nature of this appalling conflict.
Final question, if I may. You've probably seen the front page of the Sun newspaper this morning. Police officers and a PCSO tearing down posters of Israeli hostages here in the UK that have been put on a wall, including children. What do you say to that?
Well, I've seen the front page as you've seen, so I don't know the full details of it. Of course, I would totally condemn any pulling down of those posters, both in terms of the right of those people to express themselves, but particularly to draw attention to the appalling situation. Over 200 innocent people are being held captive by Hamas. The hurt and pain that their families are feeling, it's important that the world has attention drawn to it, and we should not be pulling down posters. OK. Hopefully you'll be able to grab a cup of tea before your next round of interviews. Appreciate you standing in the rain for us. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thanks. Bye-bye.